Yijia, thanks for being here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How has your NeurIPS been so far?
It's wonderful. I met many of my high school mates even.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, a lot of your high school friends turned into AI researchers?
Yes,
That's
which is
wild.
great.
Okay, well, why don't you introduce yourself for the listeners?
Yeah. My name is Yijia Dai. I work at Cornell University, and my advisors are Sarah Dean and Jennifer Sun. So our research focus is more on generative models, latent dynamics, and AI for science.
Got it. And tell me about, is there a particular paper that you're presenting at NeurIPS this year?
Yes. So this year I'm presenting a paper that talks about pre-trained large language models can learn hidden Markov models in context. Here we evaluated LLMs in context directly on synthetic HMM sequences, and we showed that it's able to predict almost optimally given a long enough context. Also, like the performance is correlated with properties of the HMM. And we're interested in this because in real world there are many sequences that are having this latent dynamic structure like animal behavior, or actually audio data is also like a typical type of data people use HMM to study. And we're just curious if, because now people use so much resource to train large language models, language also have this type of latent dynamical structure, like topics models. With this type of pre-trained model, is it able to just generalize to some real-world sequences that they have never seen before, but also have this structure? In the paper, we demonstrate two animal behavior dataset, and we show that it's basically following what we discovered using the synthetic data. It actually can perform really well if the latent dynamics entropy is low. So it's very fun to discover that model trained on natural language actually can extend its behavior, capacity on natural world sequences.
Yeah, fascinating. And can you explain what latent dynamic structure is for people who aren't familiar?
Yes, so here we're using hidden Markov model as a mathematic model for this type of just basically the latent dynamic structures. The latent hidden states are Markovian, and every time step you're not observing directly the hidden state, but instead you observe an observation that is sampled from the hidden states, and this basically is described by a emission matrix, and this matrix can be random, like noisy or lossy. So actually in reinforcement learning, people talk about partial observation settings, and here it's kind of like a simplified structure where you don't have actions, but the latent states are still Markovian by itself, and the observations is partial. Yeah, and it fits. The reason why we use it is because it fits the real world properties of so maybe things we observe are guided by physics laws or something that is true, but we never get to observe them directly. We only can see the data is a description of those latent dynamics that are true.
Tell me about the origin of this research project in particular. How did you come up with the idea, realize it was a particularly exciting line of research to pursue?
Yeah, I was very interested in I want to learn about humans' latent state over time, and by choosing the type of observations we can get from a certain human or user, are we able to actually model the latent dynamics? And because humans have so many things that they do interact with the world, so animals are relatively easier to control, like in the way of I kind of can know all the environmental input to these animals. And so this is how I was trying to, as a first step, to understand if I'm able to just use some environmental observations to model the latent dynamics of a animal being or human.
Based on the results that you got, do you think that these findings will generalize to human behavior as well?
So actually, because of this research, I'm stepped into neuroscience research a lot. So there are actually difficulties and simpler, so between animals and humans. So human brain is kind of one of the most intelligent decision-making system that we know. So comparing to animal decision-making, that's more complex. So, but actually humans are easier to understand in the manner of we have language, and also human by ourselves, we kind of already have a lot of social studies or psychology studies, cognitive science that describes how we think, how we behave. So comparing to animals where we cannot say confidently how they think or behave because of certain assumptions we made. We can only make some summaries of what they behave and then design more experiments to verify those. And even with neuron signals, we can only capture partially of the neuron signals. And that's still one reason why neuroscientists still hasn't been able to be very confident about the conclusions they made about fruit flies. There are a couple of species where their brains are almost fully modeled by us, but still to learn about their behavior dynamics, it's still a very much open question.
It must be really cool to sort of get to unite your computer science generative models work with neuroscience and studying animals, right?
Yes. It's actually, I think, recent years, because of large language models, and we know how to train large generative models very well. And also the hardware development in the neuroscientist community, they recently discovered this full connectome from fly brain, fruit flies' brains. And also there are zebrafish, where we can learn about their vision and their kind of how they react in the virtual environment. Actually, they were studying using very advanced VR settings. And so I think there will be something really fun that will happen in recent years, because we have this tools from computation. At the same time, the hardwares in neuroscience are getting there. So currently I'm working at Genelia, which is the neuroscience research campus, and I'm working with Kristen Branson, she was very fun to work with. So we're working on the intersection of generative models and also animal behavior and brain circuits.
Is this a continuation of sort of the work that you're presenting here in a way?
It is a branch, yeah, but I guess the ultimate goal for me is still to understand human better, how human feels over time, or how they behave influences how they feel, what they experience influences how they feel.
Yeah. And when you think about 5-10 years in the future, what AI will help us do in the world, help us understand in the world, what is most exciting to you?
I actually talked to Eric Zelikman and support his ideas about, so we don't just need AIs to help us to a complete task, a long horizon task by maybe RL planning and interacting with the environment. I want an AI that helps human to be fulfilled in a longer term. They actually can learn things that they're interested in and be better at things, and have meaningful interactions with other humans, and actually are able to still feel meaningful with this environment in the future where everything is kind of able to be automated. Basically help humans to understand themselves better and then grow over time, have a fulfillment over lifetime is what I want.
Yeah, that's really lovely. What other research are you seeing that is outside of your work that you think is going to help us do that, help humans understand how to live more fulfilling lives?
So I'm looking forward to Eric's work. And I also applied, when I was applying PhD programs, Nick Haber, which is an education professor at Stanford. And yeah, I also like his work. Just to advocate.
Yeah, no, plugging other people's work is amazing. That's one of the nice things about NeurIPS and opportunities for researchers to connect with each other is it's about showing your own work and then also learning, celebrating other people's is. Cool. So if people want to learn more about you, Yijia, or reach out or see your work, where can they find you?
So LinkedIn, if searching by my first name and then last name, I can pop up. And also I linked my email on my website. So if you search my name in Google, and there will. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks so much for sitting down to chat.
Cool. Thank you.